Good afternoon. I am Alfonso Ramirez, Director of Behavioral Health, Equity, and Community Partnerships for OHA, and assisting with Measure 110. I will be serving as your facilitator for today's meeting. Today's agenda will be attending to parking lot items in Lane County and Wasco County. Then we'll complete Wasco County and begin Jackson County. The Oversight and Accountability Council welcomes and encourages community input. Members of the public are invited to submit public comments or get on our interested parties email list by emailing oha.measure110@dhsoha.state.or.us. That email address and more information about the council can be found on the Measure 110 OAC website. For more information or support with community engagement, contact Jessica Carroll. And Jessica Carroll can be contacted at jessica.a.carroll@dhsoha.state.or.us. OAC members have asked that OHA and other staff who are present in the meeting space introduce themselves in the chat. Please share your role with the agency, and if you are a subject matter expert, your area of expertise. Because this is a voting subcommittee, we will be asking for subcommittee members to declare any conflicts of interest that they may have. We will request these declarations before each full county. So if you would like to declare a conflict for the entire county, you may do so then. Additionally, we will be asking for potential or actual conflict of interest declarations before each organization is discussed. So please declare any conflicts when prompted by the facilitator. Please remember that if you do declare an actual conflict of interest, we ask that you mute your microphone and turn off your camera. We will let you know in the chat when it is time for you to return. If you have a potential conflict, you may remain in the room and vote after you declare it. And I will pass it over to Walter to take our official roll.
All right. Good morning, everyone. And I am going to start from the top of my list and just say that you're here, please. Blue.
Here.
All right. Morgan.
Here.
All right. Nicole.
Here.
Okay. Sabrina.
I am here.
All right. And Zeb.
I'm here.
All right. So we have 5. Leticia is not here, but I will turn it back to you, Alfonso. Oh, you're on mute.
There we go. The first county that we will be considering in the parking lot items is Lane County. If you have a conflict of interest with the entirety of Lane County, please declare it now. All right, hearing none, the first organization that you will be considering is Center for Family Development. If you have a conflict of interest with Center for Family Development, please declare it now. All right, Family Development is applying to provide SUD, peer support, and harm reduction services in Lane County. You can find the rubrics in the parking lot workbook under the CFE1 and CFE2 tabs. The recommendation from the reviewers, the first one was partial and the second one was no. So I'm now going to turn it over to the subcommittee for a discussion or a vote.
Just real quick, I wanted to point out while we're live that this organization pointed out that their name is actually Center for Family Development, and it was stored incorrectly in our files. So just wanted to clarify that when we've mentioned Center for Family Engagement previously, it's Center for Family Development.
Thanks, Sydney.
Why did we parking lot this organization?
Didn't we just going to run out of time on this one? Or is there another reason?
The rubrics are discordant and there's issues, so I think that's probably why.
Does anyone on the Measure 110 team know the reason? Or recall it?
I'm going back through my emails to see if I can find it. It looks like the last email I sent had the list on it yesterday afternoon, and it looks like you just needed additional time to review the application.
Thank you.
Just want to take a second to welcome Leticia, who's joined us. Hi, Leticia. We are working on a parking lot item, which is Lane County, and it's Center for Family Development, which was previously written down as Center for Family Engagement. Do you have a conflict of interest with Lane County or Center for Family Development?
I don't.
Okay, thank you. And you can find the rubric in your parking lot spreadsheet under CFE 1 and CFE 2.
Does anyone want to talk about it yet? It definitely makes my brain hurt, this one.
Go ahead, Morgan, if you're ready to talk about it. I'm willing to listen.
I mean, I don't have a clear, the path forward is unclear here. But just as a general framing topic for today's meeting in the future, I just don't want perfect to be the enemy of good when we're funding these organizations, especially when there are multiple accountability mechanisms going to be built into the grant reporting. Unlike the ATC grants, we will actually be seeing standardized grant reports. And so I don't see any glaring, I would not fully fund this organization. I would say partially fund or not fund at all. But just, going forward, a lot of the concerns we have are becoming very repetitive. There's very clear patterns in the concerns that are emerging when we're reviewing these applications. And most of those patterns will be resolved either because they're proposing something that is not in compliance with our rules, or that will be worked out in contracting. And so I feel like maybe, yeah, just that just perfect doesn't become the enemy of good. And on this one, I would be okay with either partial funding or not funding.
Go ahead, Sabrina.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to what Morgan said. I don't feel comfortable setting a precedent about how we're going to grade each rubric. I feel comfortable just seeing what the rubric is when we get there, and sometimes it's going to be back and forth, and sometimes we're going to want a lot of clarity. I know for myself, when we're under the magnifying glass, I would like to know, and from them to hear from my mouth exactly why I agree with something or I don't agree with something.
Sabrina, which way would you lean with this one?
I'm the same with you on this one, Morgan. I could fund or not fund this one. I mean, partially fund or not fund this one.
And just for what you said, I don't know if your concerns are the same as mine, but the UA Tech, some of the salaries are very high for reimbursable services. So that is my chief concern here.
Those are my initial concerns as well, Morgan.
But as there is no glaring like misalignment with Measure 110, I would be comfortable saying partial funding, but looking at quite a severe budget reduction because I am deeply concerned about some of these asks. So not just like partial funding, oh, but 90%, but no, like really going back and saying, what the heck is all this? So that's more where I'm leaning. I would say don't fund if there was something like red flaggy, but these are more just like yellow flags. And so I'll say severe reduction.
You know, I can lean on the Measure 110 staff to let me know if I'm not being correct. But I think when you partially fund, you can list those things that you're concerned about, and we will take notes and ensure that that gets to our whoever's going to be negotiating the contract.
You know, when I look at this application, I mean, one thing that I really like about it is that it serves communities most impacted by the war on drugs. It has a nice, diverse staff. So those are some bonuses I see. I mean, I would definitely look to partially fund this application.
Sabrina.
Yeah, and I just wanted to know in the harm reduction of the CFE2 application, I don't really know if that meets the criteria of harm reduction. So I just wanted to throw that out there. That is in the second rubric. Blue, I was wondering if you have any thoughts.
So I can't see the rubrics quite yet. So I'm just kind of depending on listening, but if you would feel comfortable sharing a little bit more about what is in that rubric, I would definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, I will tell you what it says, Blue. It just says under the harm reduction section, it says a lot of the B boxes say partial, no, 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 yes, yes. And this is on the second rubric of CFE2. And then when I go over here to line 56, D, it talks about Center for Family Development is a leader in wants in providing a harm reduction treatment program. Harm reduction treatment is critical for clients who may not want to stop one using substances, but not others. Clients who want to stop using heroin or not methamphetamine, or stop using alcohol but not cannabis, or who want support with their mental health and are not ready to stop using substances. Our programs incorporate the following principles: involve people who use drugs and alcohol in treatment activities, reduce the harms associated with drug use, including alcohol, treat people with dignity and respect, create a non-judgmental and safe environment, meet people where they are, encourage people to set their own goals, and provide trauma-informed care using people first languages. But I just don't see where they have actual supplies or anything else listed in this harm reduction part, other than what I just mentioned.
You are right. I remember reading this rubric in our previous meeting once you said that. So they have a harm reduction philosophy, which is great. And it sounds like they're applying it to, if they offer treatment, they're applying it to that. But there are not, I did not hear any harm reduction interventions that would fall into the scope of what we fund as harm reduction interventions. So yeah, I wouldn't feel super comfortable funding them for harm reduction based on that.
Yeah. Sabrina, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm ready to put a motion on the table for Center for Family Engagement for SUV and peer support with a significant budget cut, and not to fund harm reduction, of course.
I'm down. Is that the motion?
That is the motion.
I second the motion.
Okay, is there any further discussion that you want to have? All right, we can pass it over to Walter for the vote, but just so I'm clear, it's to partially fund Center for Family Development for SUD treatment and peer support services only.
With significant budget cut.
With significant budget cuts. All right, we'll pass that over to Walter.
All right, here we go. Sorry, you guys, I'm trying to get my camera to work. There we go. All right, motion on the table to partially fund Center for Family Development, Lane County. Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole?
I vote yes.
Okay. Sabrina?
I vote yes.
Okay. Zeb?
Yes.
Okay. And Leticia?
Yes.
All right. And that passes with 6 to partially fund Center for Family Development, Lane County. Back to you, Alfonso.
All right, thanks, Walter. The next organization that you will be considering is Housing Our Veterans. If you have a conflict of interest with Housing Our Veterans, please declare it now. All right, hearing none, Housing Our Veterans is applying to provide housing in Lane County. You can find the rubrics in the parking lot workbook under the HOV1 and HOV tabs. The recommendation from the first reviewer was not to fund. The second reviewer was to fund. And I'll turn it over to the subcommittee for discussion or vote.
Hey, okay, so I read this. I had problem. I was the one who threw a fit about this. I was the drama. And then I read it and then I forgot. Yay. So it was not clear from their application why they had ceased to receive veteran funding. Therefore, I cannot penalize them because we did not ask and they did not say. And that's fine. I know that in the future, we will have to ask this question so that we do not enter this gray area again. But for now, I could not glean one way or the other. And so I would say to partially fund their housing. Just because there's some access point issues, some barrier perhaps, and then the partnership with the other one, the Camp Alma, was a bit confusing. Because they're starting at Camp Alma, which is in the middle of absolutely nowhere. So much so that on the Camp Alma one, they said, we predict that relapse will be highly uncommon because of our rurality. And they won't have cars or transportation, which is a little bit concerning, but also they're catering to high need veterans who might have high levels of PTSD, who have interpersonal issues. And that is a population with whom I have worked. And so I do understand that some people have very, very different needs. And while I wouldn't put that type of housing forward for the broader population, for veterans suffering with PTSD, maybe living away from people for a little while they get stabilized is good. And so for that reason, this and the other one, I would vote to partially fund. And in the future, I must be more diligent about our RFGAs and how we deal with the veteran population. And that's on me. I'm the only, to my knowledge, the only veteran on the committee, and I didn't do that. So I apologize.
Did you want to put forward a motion, Morgan?
How's everyone feeling? Okay. I make a motion to partially fund housing our veterans and to look at both their outreach and engagement, how they are getting and maintaining clients, and their barriers.
I second that.
Any further discussion? Sabrina?
Yeah, I would just like to make sure that it's noted in our contract process that their idea of recovery and our idea of recovery is the same, because I know some people in mental health and other spectrums of care use recovery in different contexts. I know that's recovery from something, but to make sure it's recovery in alignment with ballot measure 110. Other than that, I'm good to go.
All right, any other further discussion? Okay, we can pass it over to Walter for the vote.
All right. Motion to partially fund housing our veterans, Lane County, blue. How do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole?
I vote yes.
All right. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. And Zeb?
Yes.
All right. And Leticia? Leticia, are you there? Okay. Well, that passes with 5. I didn't. Leticia, are you there? She might have stepped away. Okay. Well, that passes with 5 to partially fund housing our veterans, Lane County. Turn it back to you, Alfonso.
All right, thank you. The next organization that you will be considering is Looking Glass. If you have a conflict of interest with Looking Glass, please declare it now. All right, hearing none, Looking Glass is applying to provide all services. So this is SUD, peer support, housing, harm reduction, and supported employment for Lane County. You can find the rubrics in the parking lot entries workbook under the Looking Glass 1 and Looking Glass 2 tabs. The recommendations from both reviewers was yes. I'll turn it over to the subcommittee for discussion or vote. Although, let me just ask one question. Can we go back and give Leticia a chance to vote? Just for the record.
Yep, let's do it. The motion on the to partially fund housing our veterans. Leticia, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And that gives
All right.
us 6. Hey, thank you, Alfonso.
Yeah, thank you. And then we'll turn it over to the subcommittee to discuss Looking Glass.
So I found the part in the full application. If anyone has that pulled up, it's on page 6, 3C2 is what we had a lot of questions and concerns about.
Do you mind sharing that, Morgan?
Yeah, like you want me to read it?
Yeah, that would be great, please.
Okay. So we had questions about the sobering center and what that meant. It's still not entirely clear, but let me read. Oh no, I went toggled away from the page. Okay, let me read to you what it says. First, I want to read it a little bit out of order because I'm trying to make sense of what they wrote. So it says, while Looking Glass has been an operating shelter for homeless youth for over 50 years now, youth who are currently intoxicated cannot use this shelter because of strict requirements from our funding agency. We will continue to maintain that shelter with other funding already available. So they didn't ask for money for that shelter. That's a separate thing. What they want to create is a youth sobering center. 14-bed, low barrier sobering center for youth who are chronically homeless with long-term SUD challenges and significant trauma histories. We expect that at full operation, we will serve approximately 25 to 30 unique individuals per month. Over time, we have seen a significant increase in the amount of youths who experience chronic homelessness, resulting in routine victimization. These youth are often using substances and have no options for shelter due to intoxication. They have no shelter alternatives outside of adult homeless camps or other unsafe situations. The only opportunity to provide immediate support to these youth is through harm reduction outreach and drop-in center visits, but it is not enough. A sober center for youth, not to be confused with detox, is in our view the single most important gap in services in Lane County. Direct care will be staffed with a combination of peers with lived experience and certified nursing assistants to assure medical supports are in place 24/7. It is our hope to make the center the gateway for engagement for many youths. It will also allow for continual support to be available and may lead to future engagement in recovery services when youth are ready to engage in additional services. So it appears to be a low barrier shelter for youth who use substances.
Morgan, I had a question for you, if you don't
Yeah.
mind. So on 55B in the harm reduction section on the rubric Looking Glass #1, it talks about getting some services from at New Roads Day Access Center. Is that part of the Looking Glass organization?
Let me look through what's the name of it? Let me control find.
It's called New Roads
New
Day
Roads. Okay.
Access Center.
New Roads. No. Okay, harm reduction. So it looks like it's a partner that has Housing First housing, as well as STD and HIV testing on site.
And that's so just to say quickly, I do like their other elements, but the harm reduction and the supported employment are ones that look like they're referred out, because WIOA is the one that does the supported employment, and then it looks like they're partnering with the community partner to do that harm reduction as well. So those would be my two concerns.
Yeah, I agree with you. Looking at the rubric, most of their harm reduction section is talking about harm reduction philosophy, but not harm reduction interventions.
Blue has her hand up.
Oh, well, I guess I probably could have lowered it because I wanted to say that I do agree with that as well. I'm able to look at the rubrics again now, and it does just look like it's more of a philosophy and then just referring out. So I agree with Morgan and Sabrina.
Are we ready to make a motion? I could make a motion for that. Leaving
Yep.
out those two elements. Okay, I make a motion to fund Looking Glass in Lane County, but not for their harm reduction nor their supported employment.
I second that motion.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll turn it over for a vote.
All right, motion on the table to fund Looking Glass Community Services, Lane County, and blue. How do you vote?
Yes, with it, and it has with the exceptions, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Just want to make sure that made it in.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yes,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, Morgan,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
okay, Sabrina,
Yes.
okay, Zeb,
Yes.
all right, and Leticia.
Yes.
All right, that passes with 6 to fund Looking Glass Community Services, Lane County, with those modifications of review. by OHA. So I'll turn it back to you, Alfonso.
Yeah, I just want to be real clear about what you didn't want to fund in that motion, and that was harm reduction and supported employment. Is that right, Morgan?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, everybody's was clear on that. Okay. All right. It's a little bit before 10. Did you want to take a 5-minute break? Okay, see head nod by Sabrina. So why don't we 5 minutes, 10 minutes? Okay, 5-minute break, and we'll be back at 9:58. Thank you. All right, we can begin to welcome people back. Give people a minute or two.
Hi, hello.
I think that was Morgan, right? Morgan's here, Blue's here. If you could give me a check, thumbs up or a return your camera on. Walter's here, Leticia's here. Zeb and Sabrina, are you here? Okay, we'll give Zeb and Sabrina a minute. Sabrina's here. Zeb, are you here? All right, let's give Zeb another minute or so. Oh, Nicole, looks like we lost Nicole as well.
I'm going to turn on my camera so you can see that I'm running to get coffee.
Okay. And yeah, Blue's here. All right. Zeb, are you here? You can give me a thumbs up. So we do have 4 people here. Should we continue with the reading? And okay. And then Zeb, when Zeb comes back, we can ask him about the conflict of interest. The next organization that you will be considering is Transponder. If you have a conflict of interest with Transponder, please declare it now. All right, hearing none, Transponder is applying to provide SUD and peer support services in Lane County. You can find the rubrics in the parking lot entries workbook under the Transponder 1 and Transponder 2 tabs. The recommendations from the reviewers were both yes. And I'll turn it over to the subcommittee for discussion or vote. And just a quick check, Zeb, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Do you have a conflict of interest with Transponder?
That's a no.
Okay, all right, then we can proceed.
Does anyone remember the issue?
I was just going to ask that myself. I don't remember.
I can see an issue right off the top.
Measure 110 team, was there an issue that you recall on Transponder?
The issues I have listed are high salaries and more detail needed on the startup costs.
I think some of those concerns are on rubric. The transponder rubric 2. Budget line 30.
Okay, I have the application open and I'm control Fing through. So can I just read y'all? I can't see my Zoom screen. So if someone's hand is up, I won't be able to see it. So I'm just gonna leave myself off mute and share some things as I'm scrolling through, okay? Is that all right?
Yes,
Just
that's fine, Morgan.
Interrupt me if you need to, okay? Because I can't see you. Okay, so I have here, this is in their burn application, the once Lane County burn gave some very helpful additional graphics and spreadsheets and things that we did not ask for, but it's proving very helpful in this moment. So I have a capital outlay costs for transponder treatment center lease. And I'm not fully sure what that means, but that is $99,000. Now I'm just going to keep going through. Transponder is mentioned many times in this application, so it's a little bit hard to get to like the stuff that matters because it has so many. It's in here so many times. Okay. Transponder has historically partnered with Emergence to provide LGBTQ services, but funding from this mechanism will provide a separate space for Transponder to provide services and promote organizational growth. This building will lay a foundation for direct treatment options offered by Transponder. So I'm catching a vibe that they've previously referred out and are wanting to build their in-house capacity, which might explain some of their higher requests. They definitely cater to the LGBTQI population, recruitment and retention of LGBTQI employees, diverse staff. Behavioral health partnerships in the community. More behavioral health partnerships. Okay, page 7 here in Emergence, though. I see. So there's a lot of very expensive staff. I see hire nurse practitioner, medical assistant, and contracted physician. Begin psychiatric nurse practitioner services. Hire QMHP, train QMHP. But expand access to SUD jail diversion assessments. Begin contingency management programs. So those are, jail diversion and contingency management. I stand for those things, but I do see why these, highly trained, high acuity staff salaries might be off-putting. Let me keep going. They're in here a lot under DE&I stuff because they provide intersectional supports for people who are LGBTQIA. They'll do a lot of the training for the entire burn when it comes to the entire burns clients, patients, people seeking services that might identify as that, trying to improve DE&I outcomes for those people. So they're requesting startup costs to create infrastructure for things that they had previously been billing out, like referring out, excuse me. Gender affirming services. Transponder currently serves 1,200 trans and gender diverse individuals annually, but does not currently offer any SUD services. This grant will allow Transponder to serve at least 600 LGBTQIA+ individuals per year. via motivational interviewing, DBT, CBT, evidence-based practices delivered in a culturally responsive manner. Do you want me to keep going, or is that sufficient?
Was that last part just for the SUD section? Can you pick a snippet out of another service element? Maybe like, let me see.
Yeah, let me keep going. I'm only halfway through the references. So I'm not even there yet. Okay,
Thank you.
I'll go through SU. So their SUD section looks strong, welcomes Matt, et cetera, et cetera. Let me click through and get to a different section. Wait, is this peers? Am I in peers? Sorry, it's not immediately clear when, okay, now I'm in peers. Transponder currently employs traditional health worker for resource navigation, but they're trying, no. See, this is one where they're going to violate our rules, so they would have to be brought in compliance because they want to hire a traditional health worker with addiction support experience to grow the peer support program as capacity allows. We know that. I don't think that traditional health workers are among our approved list of peers, so that would have to become a CRM or a peer mentor. Transponder will provide via an MOU with Emergence clinical supervision of all peers by a licensed mental health therapist and addiction specialists. All LGBTQ peers will receive trauma-informed and person-centered training. Fully integrated into the BHRN wraparound services with peers. Okay. Listen. Expand executive director position to include SUD services oversight. Hire and train operations director to work closely with Emergence to provide day-to-day operation support. Establish central location in Eugene. So those are some very expensive requests. And then we're getting down into budget narrative already. So did they not apply for harm reduction? Yeah, it says housing NA, harm reduction NA, supported employment NA. Okay. So we have peers and SUD, very strong program, but on this one, there's not enough money in Lane County to fund everything that they want to do. So whether we say fully fund or partially fund, it's not going to matter so much. Their program is definitely strong. They'll have to bring it in compliance with the rules and hire certified peer mentors or you know what I mean, SUD peers, and not traditional health workers, but I'm sure that's fine with them. So I would be comfortable saying either partially or fully fund, knowing that their capital outlay costs are going to exceed our budget.
Go ahead, Sabrina.
Yeah, I would be comfortable with partially funding them, but without all of that extra medical staff. I feel like that could be funded by a different avenue than our ballot measure 110 funding. I do like I think it's jail diversion and contingency management as well, but I would not feel comfortable funding any of those positions up until those two when Morgan was talking. So there's a whole list of them. So other than that, I'd be open to partially funding them.
And I'd like to say thank you, Morgan, for going through that. That's awesome. So yeah, I agree with what you guys are saying, and I share Sabrina's views on that too. Looks like a good program for sure.
So for the motion, how do we want to, like, how restrictive do you want the wording to be? Do you just want to say like partially fund with a reduction in the sort of high cost salary staff? Is that comfortable? Okay. Do you want me to say that? Okay. I make a motion to fund transponder in Lane County. Excuse me, retract. I make a motion to partially fund transponder in Lane County for all services, looking at a reduction in their capital outlay costs and their high salary staff, specifically the medical practitioners that may be better funded through alternative streams.
I second that.
All right, is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, we can turn it over for a vote.
Right. And I'm just writing something real quick. I think Sabrina was the second to motion. All right, motion to partially fund transponder, Lane County and Blue. How do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Morgan. Okay. Nicole.
Yes.
Okay. Sabrina.
Yes.
All right. And Zeb.
Yes.
Okay. And Leticia.
Yes.
All right. So that passes with 6 to partially fund transponder Lane County. And I will turn it back to you, Alfonso.
All right, thank you. The next organization that you will be considering is Veterans Legacy. If you have a conflict of interest with Veterans Legacy, please declare it now. All right, hearing none, Veterans Legacy is applying to provide housing services in Lane County. You can find the rubrics in the parking lot entries workbook under the Veterans Legacy 1 and Veterans Legacy 2 tabs. The recommendation from both reviewers was yes to fund. I'll turn it over to the subcommittee for discussion or vote.
Okay, so again, I was the one with concerns. They're essentially copy and pasted from the previous veteran discussion that we already had. There is no explanation that I could find as to why they lost their VA federal funding. But again, we did not ask and they did not tell. So very military, don't ask, don't tell. So, and again, these services would not be incredibly suitable to the general population, but because of who they are serving, PTSD affected veterans who use substances, I would vote to partially fund this service. And also, but making a mental note that in the future, I must do a better job about due diligence around veteran services applications.
Did you want to make a motion, Morgan?
Would anyone like to opine or? What's this one called? But hang on, Veterans Legacy, Veterans.
Yes.
Veterans Legacy, that's what it is?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to partially fund Veterans Legacy for all services. Again, with an eye towards how they are bringing in clients, their barrier level, and how those clients, especially here, because it's very rural, will be integrated into the full services of the burn and provide accessible access to the rest of the services available to them.
I second that motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Let's turn it over for a vote.
Motion. All right. Motion to partially fund Veterans Legacy Lane County and Blue. How do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. Zeb?
Yes.
All right. And Leticia?
Yes.
All right. That passes with 6 to partially fund Veterans Legacy Lane County. Back to you, Alfonso.
All right, thank you. The next organization that you'll be considering is Gobi. If you have a conflict of interest with Gobi, please declare it now. Okay, Gobi is applying to provide housing services in Wasco County. You can find the rubrics in the parking lot entry. Actually, let me step back for a second. Because they are Wasco County, a different county, is there anyone that has a conflict of interest with the entirety of Wasco County? All right, hearing none, we'll move forward. You can find the rubrics in the parking lot entries workbook under the GOBI 1 and GOBI 2 tabs. The recommendation from the first reviewer was to fund. The recommendation from the second reviewer was not to fund. And again, they're applying for housing, and I'll turn it over to the subcommittee for discussion or vote.
So I have the application open. So if anyone sees a search word that you want me to look up, let me know and I can find it.
Go ahead, Serena.
Yeah, I did read the application last night, and I did have some questions about it. And so I'm ready and open for discussion when everybody else is.
I'm sorry, could you tell me what application we're on right now?
This is GOBI,
Okay.
and it's the last tab in the workbook, GOBI 1
right.
and GOBI 2.
Okay, thank you.
Housing. It's just housing. That's all I see in there.
That's all it is.
Okay.
Did somebody already mention what the concerns were from last time?
Let's go to our Measure 110 team. Do we have that noted?
The only thing I have noted is additional time to review the application.
Okay. Sabrina, what were your concerns?
Well, some of my concerns was I believe it's a monthly rent subsidy program that removes barriers to housing with people with SUD diagnoses. And so it's aimed to remove barriers, expand rental assistance. And so it doesn't really clarify what those funds are used for. And in number 5 of the application, so maybe you could look at that one, Morgan, the one that talks about the housing first model.
Mhm.
I'm unsure exactly what they provide to help it be housing first model.
Okay. The one I have in front of my face might answer your question or it might not. So they got a SOAR grant. And so they had like a pilot housing support through their state opioid response grant. They get referrals. The referral process highlights several barriers faced by the population being served. Houselessness is a family issue. Support impacts retention and treatment, adherence to treatment goals, and overall increased engagement in services. How helping to break housing barriers increases an individual's ability to maintain a safe living environment. Okay, so it's, expand rental assistance in partnership with the Eastern Oregon SUD programs to provide financial assistance for members with any SUD diagnosis to achieve safe and supportive housing aimed at removing barriers, increasing access to and engagement in treatment services, and also preventing the utilization of higher intensity services such as emergency department utilization. Addresses housing gaps, prioritizing diverse individuals, including racial, ethnic diversity, and those from the LGBTQI plus community. Expand rental assistance. Does that answer?
Yeah, well,
No wrong for approach.
so my concern is when they're talking about Eastern Oregon is very, very large, and I don't believe all of Eastern Oregon is in their burn. And so when they're talking about all of Eastern Oregon, it's hard for me to dissect exactly what they plan on doing. And then also when I went and I looked at their budget, it just says budget line for position 1 and position 2. And even though it's a moderate cost, it doesn't even say what those positions are for. And then in the other budget, in the other part of the budget, it just says they want this sum for housing assistance, and it doesn't really say what that is. And so the budget is very, very vague. And then also talking about Eastern Oregon with what they're doing is kind of hard to dissect exactly what they're trying to do and how it makes it low barrier and housing first. I see the words in there, but being able to back it up with what that means is what I'm having a hard time with that clarity.
Yeah, so on page 3, I think they predicted that we were going to have this lack of clarity because on page 3 of their burn application, they gave some charts and graphs about the different counties in Eastern Oregon, which they currently serve, because this is the CCO for the region. But then they do break it down specifically by county and what is available in each county. And then they have a list of all their partner programs. So I think this is just to provide rental assistance in Wheeler County. But when they talk about their track record, they talk about it in their CCO region, because that's what they are, which is the multi-county region, because previously they administered services not by county line, but by that region. So I think that they're like, hey, look, we've done this before in this entire region, but now they're having to increase, narrow their scope to just the county, which is, so they're trying to say, like, look what we did before, but now we're just going to do it in this one particular county. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but it's still hard for the clarity of what they're providing. And with the questions, the way they answered the questions is, it still doesn't provide a lot of information. Excuse me. So I apologize. I will let you guys talk about it, and then I will just listen for now.
Blue.
Yeah, so I found this application to be really confusing, and on page 5, there's a lot of text, and I don't think that we even told people they could add text to question 1 on the housing services, but there is a lot of text, and some of it says that part of what they're using is rental assistance program, which is for housing to individuals with serious mental illness in need of housing and risk for hospitalization. So I'm not sure why it's in there, if they're trying to house the same people, but if so, that is not quite in alignment with Measure 110. And I don't know if we should consider that again, because I've gotten other applications with information that we technically should not have considered, but it was sent with that information.
Are you saying because it's mental health, Blue, and not substance?
Yes.
Okay.
That seems a little bit of a broader scope than what Measure 110 can really address.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to click that historically there was only funding available for mental health. So when these organizations are trying to prove their track record, they say, look at what we did for mental health, because they were getting county funds to do that. This is the first time we're like, yeah, people who use drugs need services too.
Sabrina.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I understand everything that Morgan just said, but still with the context and the information we're giving, we're just grasping at straws, because I am trying to make sense of it and then looking at the budget. And that doesn't really still clarify why the budget looks the way that it does, with the position 1 and position 2 is going to be funding. And I think they are asking $395 per month per each position. And so is that enough position and man hours to fund something of this magnitude? And then also is the housing assistance vouchers, and how does one get that? Is it low barrier, is it fast? What does that look like in real time?
So I would assume that this is like 0.125 or 0.2 of an FTE, and that they're cobbling together one FTE by the neighboring counties because they're all rural, but I don't have any answers to your rent assistance questions.
I also am unclear on, let's see, page 8 of their application, when it asks if they require abstinence to maintain housing. It discusses some of their funding sources and reducing or removing barriers or breaking barriers associated with use of substances. And then it states that they have naloxone boxes and that they will train people how to use naloxone. And what I didn't see is a clear answer on their whether or not people who use substances are welcome in those services.
I don't remember the rest of this county. Did we fund other housing services?
Is there anyone from the Measure One team that can look at that?
Yeah, I can look at it. I just need a couple minutes to look at
Yeah.
a few different things. I'll let you know.
Okay, yeah, because their ask is 200,000, which I can't situate within the broader county asks because my memory has faded away because my memory is crap. But I would think that 200,000 probably isn't that high for this county. Wheeler is rural, but not like frontier. So
Just to clarify, it's Wasco, not Wheeler.
Oh, thank you. Okay, well, Wasco's even less rural. Wasco has what, the Dalles, some actual cities.
And I have a question because I had thought I had heard someone from Measure 110 possibly say that the budget that they submitted was the sample budget and that they didn't actually submit an actual budget. And I am unsure if that is correct. So I don't know if the budget we're looking at with position 1 and position 2 is even what they are asking for.
Sabrina, did you want to go first?
Yeah, I don't have a response to that. I just wanted to add on with the way that the application looks to me and with the information that's given, it's hard for me to comfortably evaluate and weigh in the rubric because the application itself lacks a lot of weight.
And to respond to the previous one, just confirm with the Measure 110 team, all the applications and budget narratives were sent to the team, correct? I'm sorry, to the subcommittee. Okay, so everything that you have is what we had. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Yeah, I would just like to address what Blue said. If Blue thought somebody said that, I would just like to get clarity around that, because somebody completing a mock budget and turning it in, and it's not their actual budget, kind of makes a difference, I would think, to also weigh in on the application.
Blue, did you want to add more to that?
Forgot to unmute. Yeah, just I would like to see if maybe someone from Measure 110 team could check to see if the sample budget that was maybe an attachment for the application process looks like this one. I thought that I had heard that from somebody on staff. Like that they could have inadvertently attached the sample rather than one that was filled out, but I just wanted to see if somebody could check that.
I will check that, but also wanted to let you know for Wasco County, Eastern Oregon Center for Independent Living, Gobi, which we're reviewing right now, and Bridges to Change applied for housing. And you have funded so far Eastern Oregon Center for Independent Living and Bridges to Change, both with a review of the budget, of course, but you didn't explicitly state you didn't want to fund them. So
Awesome. Thank you for looking that up, Sydney.
yep, and I'll look at the budget right now.
And Blue, rubrics 2 states exactly what you're saying, that the budget was submitted, the sample budget was submitted.
Go ahead, Sabrina.
Yeah, I would like to seek legal guidance from somebody who could say if this is permissible. Are we allowed to take a sample budget if the, because what are we really approving? What does a sample budget even mean? And is that permissible at this point?
Go ahead, Sydney.
Sorry, I had to unmute. I'm looking at the sample budget that's online that they had access to, and it's blank. So I don't think that they would have submitted, like we didn't put numbers in it or anything. So let me keep looking. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't numbers in that one before I pulled up the actual budget.
So the only thing I'll say about the legal part is if you were wanting, if you're not going to fund this because of the way that the budget is, because you have a sample budget, then you could make that motion if you liked. If you were considering funding it and you wanted to know, could we fund it if they, with this budget, the way that it is legally, would that be permissible? Then we could go and seek that information out. But I think if you are not wanting to fund this, then it doesn't seem like it would be worth it to get a legal opinion. But if you'd like that ahead of time, we can definitely do that.
So I have the budget pulled up, and yes, it does say sample budget at the top. And I emailed this to y'all yesterday. Also, it's a snippet, a screenshot, because I can't, the Excel files aren't working. But that happened on a lot of these applications too. They didn't actually change the title, they just changed the information. So is there anything else I can send y'all that would help?
No, I think that excludes at least that it's their budget. I mean, that seems better than it being just a sample budget. I don't know where, I know how I'm gonna vote, so I'll leave it up to the rest of the council or the committee.
And just to clarify, so then this is not a sample budget, this is their actual budget, and those numbers were changed. Okay.
Well, I think in that case, it is confusing because I don't have a lot of clarity, and I didn't see a budget narrative. And I'm thinking maybe they did not submit one, or is there any way to just check, just because I don't know what position 1 and position 2 even is.
Yeah, let's find out. Did they submit a budget narrative?
I am double checking the email that they sent in originally, but there is not a separate narrative folder, or I mean file. So let me just review the application really quickly. And again, I did send this yesterday. So what y'all saw is all the files that I sent yesterday. So I'm just double checking. But I don't see, unless it's just built into their application, it's not specifically broken out as a narrative.
Go ahead, Rochelle.
Yes, so in reviewing the application, the budget narrative is embedded throughout the whole application.
Can you please repeat what you said about being embedded in the whole application? I didn't catch the first part.
Yes, so when I was looking or reviewing the application in its entirety, their budget narrative is throughout. It's explained in the subsections for what they are applying for.
Okay, so it's not a separate document. It's written in each
Right.
subsection.
Right.
Okay.
Is anybody clear on what the staff are for in that case?
Blue, I'm assuming you're asking your peers on the subcommittee?
Yeah, or anybody that's in here that might know. I just I didn't, the word position is not in their application, which would match the positions in the budget. So I don't know what those are. I mean, they're not very much money, but I just still don't know what they're for. I'm not clear.
So again, I'll lean on that Measure 110 team, but I think we generally let the subcommittee look through those applications, like we don't identify what things mean or don't mean. But I could be wrong. Is that correct?
I'm not Jessica. Just, and I'm not positive, but I believe so. I don't think we, like in the review process, we weren't able to really clarify much. We have to just take the application for what it is.
That's my understanding as well.
Well, I think if what Blue's saying here too is like, if the narrative is embedded throughout, does anybody see where it actually talks about the staff information in there?
Yeah, that, and then their indirect costs, which looks like 10,000, then goes to 20,000, then goes to 200,000. And I don't know what that means. If anybody happens to know, let me know.
Sabrina.
I don't know either, Blue, and that's why I'm like, it's hard for me to weigh the application. And because then I'm just making up ideas in my own mind with my previous knowledge of what it should be without really no clarity from the application of what they're actually talking about. And it's hard to fund positions. We don't know what they are and what any of the costs are or what it's associated with. And there's just a lot of things that are unclear to me as well. But I will be right back, okay?
Okay, thanks, Sabrina. not trying to rush anyone. You can continue discussing, but if anyone wanted to put forward a motion, you can, and there still is time for discussion after that.
Well, I'm just gonna state that to me, a lot of this application reads like when you have an assignment in class and you have to give so many words and you put them all together and they don't always make sense, but you want to make sure you get the word counts in. And I'm just having a hard time deciphering some of what they're actually trying to say from the application. And so I'm not super comfortable with funding it because there are so many costs that I don't even know what they are. That I just have concerns about the program, but I'm open to hearing from other members of the subcommittee as well.
Yeah, I definitely hear your concerns about the lack of clarity here. And there is a lack of clarity, right? But because for that same reason, sort of an ambiguity, I can't strictly say that, no, this is a bad program, right? For the same reasons, I can't definitely say yes, I cannot definitely say no. So I am definitely leaning towards partially funding, and they will not be allowed to have this lack of clarity or ambiguity in their contracting or their grant reporting process. And that's how I would lean here.
Well, what it sounds like to me is that we're ready to vote, and then we can just see what happens when we're done voting, I guess.
Okay, does anyone want to put forward a motion?
I mean, we need unanimity to pass. So if we're not going to agree, I don't think we should go through the motions to vote, because we all have to vote yes. We have to be in unanimous agreement, which I learned the hard way last time I made us go through a vote just to say no to something.
Well, and just to clarify, all you need are 4 yeses. If you have 4 people say yes and 1 or 2 say no, you still pass. And Sabrina.
Yeah, I was just gonna see how many people that we have, because I already know what I'm gonna vote. So regardless of what anybody says, without the extra information, I can't comfortably make a decision to fund them. So I'm counting how many people are here. That's Blue, Nicole, Zeb, Leticia, and Morgan. So we'd only need 4 to pass it. Or is there 6?
Mm-hmm.
There are 6 members?
There's
Zeb
6
is
members
here.
that are here. Yep.
Okay, so I mean, I don't think at this point in the juncture, anything's gonna change my mind for my vote, so I'm open for whatever.
Okay, then I'd like to make a motion to partially fund Gobi with increased specificity for all of their expenses that is scrutinized.
Okay, is there a second?
I second that motion.
All right, we'll hand it over to Walter for the vote.
Can we have a little discussion?
I'm sorry, we do need to have that discussion. Absolutely. I apologize.
So I'm not entirely clear what increased specificity means, but my personal concern, I have no problem funding the housing assistance, which sounds very clear and understandable, but there is more than double that in their ask. And I don't know what any of the rest of that is for. So I would be comfortable like just funding their ask around rental assistance. And I will let Sabrina go. And I'm sorry if I cut you off, Sabrina.
You didn't, Blue. I just want to say, I hate saying this before we get there, but I just don't want to waste anybody's time. I know how I'm going to vote, and it's not for funding them because I don't think I can make that fair judgment with everything. I'm just going to be making up innuendos in my mind of what they're going to be using the budget for and the funding for. So I just want to state that before we get there, I'm not for funding at this point. So if there's other people on here that could sway the vote. So either way, that's why I said I'm comfortable for a vote, because I know what way I am going to vote.
I would be comfortable retracting and amending the motion to what you just said, Blue, which is just funding their rental assistance. And in that way, I just feel like the more services, the merrier, especially in these high need rural areas. And that obviously this is going to be an iterative process. We're going to have to tweak and ask for more clarity in the future. So I would like to retract the motion on the floor.
Okay,
Okay, I'm going to make a motion to partially fund Gobi in Wasco County only for their rental assistance services.
okay, is there a second? All right, if you seconded it, you were on mute. So is there a second?
Well, I'll just second it for the sake of getting to a vote.
Excuse me, any further discussion? We're ready for the vote.
Okay. Motion on the table to partially fund Greater Oregon Behavioral Health, Wasco County. Blue, how do you vote?
Yes, but that's just for the housing assistance, right? That's
Yep.
okay.
Rental
Thank you.
assistance.
The rental, yes, the rental assistance. Okay. Morgan,
Yes.
Nicole,
Yes.
Sabrina,
I abstain.
okay. Zeb,
Yes.
okay, and Leticia.
Yes.
Okay, so that passes with 5 with 1 abstention to partially fund Greater Oregon Behavioral Health, Wasco County. Back to you, Alfonso.
All right, thank you. The next county that we will be considering is Wasco County. If you have a conflict of interest with the entirety of Wasco County, please declare it now. All right, we have 2 organizations under Wasco County. Would you like to take a break now, or would you like to move forward for a little bit? Just checking in. Okay, let's move forward. The next organization that you will be considering will be Columbia Gorge Health Council. If you have a conflict of interest with Columbia Gorge Health Council, please declare it now. All right. Columbia Gorge Health Council is applying to provide, and I apologize, is applying to provide peer support services for Wasco County. You can find the rubrics in the Wasco County workbook under the CGHC1 and CGHC2 tabs. And the recommendations from the reviewers were both yes. I'll turn it over to the subcommittee for discussion or vote. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Alfonso, can you please repeat that organization and it's in Wasco County?
Yes, it's Columbia Gorge Health Council. Let me double check this. Yeah, Columbia Gorge Health Council in Wasco County. It's part of it, and Sydney, if you could clarify, this is part of a larger burn in Wasco County, is that correct? Of a burn application? I'm looking at the tab.
Yeah, sorry, I accidentally closed out my workbook when I went looking for the other stuff. Hold on one second.
So that's CGH.
CBHC1. So you'll have to forward it all the way towards the end, like you click on the arrow all the way towards the end. It's the second pair before the end.
Yes, it is. They all applied together in Wasco County. This is the second to last one.
Were you able to find that? Okay.
Well, I'm not sure how everybody's feeling about this one, but it looks like, I mean, the rubrics give it a good reviews for the application. The only reference was to the question on the indirect cost on one of the rubrics, but besides that, everything looks good to me. Not sure how everybody's feeling about it though. Is everybody comfortable with me making a motion at this point, or we need a little bit more time?
I'm comfortable.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to fund this application for Wasco County for peer services. And that is my motion.
Is there a second?
I second that motion.
Thank you, Leticia. Is there any further discussion? Okay, let's go to a vote.
Okay, motion on the table to fund peer support services, Columbia Gorge Health Council, Wasco County. And Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. Zeb?
Yes.
And Leticia?
Yes.
All right. And that passes with 6 to fund Columbia Gorge Health Council, Wasco County. Back over to you, Alfonso.
All right, thank you. The next organization that you will be considering is One Community Health. If you have a conflict of interest with One Community Health, please declare it now. Okay, One Community Health is applying to provide peer support services for Wasco County. You can find the rubrics in the Wasco County workbook under the One Com Health 1 and One Com Health 2 tabs. The recommendation from the reviewers was both yes to fund. And I'll turn it over to the subcommittee for discussion or vote.
Hi all, I don't want to interrupt any deep thought, but just wanted to say hello and I'm on the meeting. Good to see you all.
Welcome.
Thanks, Deb.
Well, after looking at this application, both rubrics carefully, I don't see any red flags with this application. Seem like they're strong and serving communities most impacted by the war on drugs. And I'd like to make a motion to fund this for peer support.
Okay, is there a second?
I second that.
All right, let's have a, discussion. Any discussion? Sabrina?
Yeah, I just had a couple of concerns with their some of the rubrics. I'm looking at, sorry, I'm writing it down and looking at it at the same time. Is for like 17D of one community health. And it talks about their MAT program, which they're not asking for funding for MAT, so I mean, that's okay, but another one is when it says the Native American Peer Wellness Special Program will work with our Native American Health and Wellness team, providing culturally appropriate mobile integrated care to 32 different tribal communities along the Columbia River. The additional the two pairs funded through this grant would be bilingual and hired from the Latinx community. So actually, I don't think it's a concern as so much as a question. Is this all in one county? Would only be my only concern.
Is there any, and Sabrina, I don't know if that was a question for us. If it is, let us know. If not, if
It was more like a rhetorical question, just for a point of clarity, but also that's like the only major thing that I could pick apart in their rubrics.
okay, is there any other further discussion? Okay, then I think we can go to the vote.
Okay. All right. Motion on the table to fund one community health, Wasco County. And Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole?
Yes.
All right. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. And Zeb?
Yes.
All right. And Leticia?
Yes.
All right. And that passes with 6 to fund one community health, Wasco County. And I'll turn it back to you, Alfonso.
All right, thank you. The next county we will be considering is Jackson County. Do you all, it's 11:09, do you all want a break or should we keep going?
I would like to take a quick break.
Okay, do you want 5 minutes or do you want 10 minutes? Any preferences? Yeah, let's go ahead, Serena.
I was just gonna say, I don't have a preference.
Okay,
Maybe
let's,
10 minutes.
yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We'll give people 10 minutes and we'll be back at 11:20. Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Good morning, Portland. Scattered showers once again, and temperatures on the cool side. Mid-40s out the door, and only mid-50s this afternoon. Watch out for a hail shower as well.
A safe rest village for the homeless set to open as soon as next month in Multnomah Village. Could be the first of 6 in Portland.
President Biden is expected to discuss infrastructure when he visits Portland, Oregon later today.
The White House says Biden will talk about his efforts to, quote, continue bringing down costs for American families.
All right, welcome back, everyone. We'll get started in just a minute or two. If you are back, if you could, you can turn on your camera or give me a thumbs up and we'll know that you're here. Well, have I been on mute this whole time? Or have you heard? Okay. All right. So I think we're waiting on Sabrina. And I don't think Nicole is back. Sabrina is here. So we have Sabrina, Blue, Zeb, and Morgan. So it looks like we're waiting on Leticia and Nicole, but we have 4 people, so we can move on if we like. I believe. Okay, Leticia will be right back. Okay, let's give it about another 30 seconds and then we can get going. All right, we are going to move ahead. The next county that you will be considering is Jackson County. If you have a conflict of interest with the entirety of Jackson County, please declare it now. All right, the first organization in Jackson County that we will be considering is Boulder Care. If you have a conflict of interest with Boulder Care, please declare it now. Okay, hearing none, Boulder Care is applying to provide, one second, I apologize. Boulder Care is applying to provide SUD treatment, peer support, and harm reduction services in Jackson County. You can find the rubrics in the Jackson County workbook under the tabs Boulder Care 1 and Boulder Care 2. The recommendations from the reviewers, one was no, not to fund, and the second was yes to fund. I'll turn it over to the subcommittee for discussion or vote. Before we continue, I see that Leticia is back. Leticia, are you there? Leticia, are you there? So just going to reach out to the Measure 110 team here. In the past, I've known that Leticia has had a conflict of interest in Boulder Care, and we asked that people turn their camera off and mute their microphone. So let's wait until Leticia comes back before we have any discussion and ensure that she has her
Alfonso, Alfonso, if you'd like, we could put her in the waiting room and we could still proceed.
Let's do that.
Okay.
We still have quorum if we move. We still have enough, because I know that's why we've been having them turn their camera off.
Yes.
Okay.
We do.
I will do that real quick and
Okay.
send a message. There you go.
Are we good to proceed? All right, let's do that. If anyone has discussion or a vote or put forward a motion. Go ahead, Sabrina.
So do we have all of the people back this to vote?
Let me confirm with Walter. I do believe we do, but let's see.
Yes, we have 4, so the vote has to be unanimous.
Okay, I would like to go ahead and put a motion on the table. That way we can get to discussion off of the 2 rubrics and the information I gathered from there. I would like to say I would not like to put a motion on the table to not fund Boulder Care for Jackson County off of the rubrics.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All right, let's turn it over for a vote.
All right. Motion on the table to not fund Boulder Care, Jackson County, and Blue. How do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. And Zeb?
Yes.
All right. Oh, sorry about that, Sabrina. How do you vote?
I vote yes.
All right. Thank you. Sorry about that. That vote passes with 4, not to fund Boulder Care, Jackson County. Back to you, Alfonso.
All right, the next organization that you will be considering is Rogue Retreat Hope University. If you have a conflict of interest with Rogue Retreat Hope University, please declare it now, and we'll welcome you back, Leticia. Okay, hearing no conflict of interest, Rogue Retreat Hope University is applying to provide peer support and housing services in Jackson County. You can find the rubrics in the Jackson County workbook under the Rogue HU1 and Rogue HU2 tabs. The recommendation from both reviewers was yes to fund. I'll now turn it over to the subcommittee for discussion or vote. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Yes, I had a question for one of the reviewers, if they don't mind me asking them.
I think you can do that. Yeah.
Okay, Leticia, for Rogue Retreat, would you think fully funding them or partially funding them?
Hi, Leticia, are you still there? Oh, there we go.
Sorry, I've got some stuff happening at work, so I'm in and out. I missed that. Sabrina, were you talking to me? Can you repeat what you said?
Yeah, I was hoping that I
my
could.
audio.
I was hoping I could ask you as a reviewer, and I hope you feel comfortable answering that. But if you would feel comfortable, would your recommendation be fully funding Rogue Retreat of Jackson County or partially funding?
My recommendation was to fully fund, yeah, Rogue Retreat, Hope University.
All right, Blue.
I had a concern, and it is in rubric 2. Gosh, which it's really hard for me to find the numbers on these. I think it is 20D. It states that this grant will train 135 peer support specialists statewide, which I don't know if that's appropriate to be funding that. I thought we were breaking these up by county. And I'm not positive, but it sounds like if anybody is still using any kind of a substance, or if they relapse, they would have to go stay in a tent on a campground, and that's the only sort of housing first. Although I do see a warming shelter mentioned, and I'm unclear if they're asking us to fund a warming shelter or if they're just referencing it. Those are some of the concerns that I have with just looking at the rubrics.
Blue, would you like us to send you all the application? Would that be helpful?
It would definitely be helpful for me. And I just also want to say, if folks are more comfortable parking lotting, I don't think that's the right putting this in the parking lot. I'm okay with that as well. I don't want to, hold things up for too long. So I think whatever everyone else is comfortable with is okay, but yeah, I personally would be more comfortable making a decision. I think seeing the application.
Leticia, it talks about 6 different tiers of housing in this application. Could you just expand on that maybe just a little bit?
Yeah, so in the application, it talks about there is, like Blue was saying, there's the campground. It's called the urban campground, and there's tents, and that's like the first level of housing. And then there's also a shelter there. They have beds in a shelter. There's transitional houses. There's a couple women's transitional houses, and then there's a men's transitional house. And then there's independent apartments as well. So there's different levels of housing within Rogue Retreat.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Sabrina.
Yeah, so I was just wondering, out of respect for Blue, if we should just parking lot this until tomorrow morning so we can look at the application so we can move on. And I would like to put a motion to parking lot. Can you help me with the name again, Leticia, the full name?
It's Rogue Retreat, Hope University.
Okay, I would like to put a motion to parking lot Rogue Retreat, Hope University until tomorrow, if we could, so we can look at the application.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
All right, let's take a vote on that.
All right. Motion to table Rogue Retreat, Hope University, Jackson County. Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
All right. Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. And Zeb?
Yes.
All right. And Leticia?
Yes.
All right. That motion passes to table this for Rogue Retreat, Hope University, Jackson County. Back to you, Alfonso.
All right, the next organization that you will be considering is Stab and Wagon. If you have a conflict of interest with Stab and Wagon, please declare it now. All right, Stab and Wagon is applying to provide harm reduction services in Jackson County. You can find their rubrics in the Jackson County workbook under the Stab and Wagon 1 and Stab and Wagon 2 tabs. The recommendation from both reviewers was yes to fund. And I'll turn it over to the subcommittee for discussion or a vote.
I would just like to say that it really looks like they are providing a broad spectrum of harm reduction services. I think I had, and it seems like it is really non-judgmental, low barrier, and they are really looking to do syringe exchange, provide safer use kits, safer sex kits. So I am definitely on board with funding this organization.
Yeah, me too. I agree with everything that Blue just said.
Did anyone want to put forward a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to fully fund Stab and Wagon in Jackson County.
I second that.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, let's turn it over for a vote.
All right. Motion to fund Stab and Wagon, Jackson County. Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. Sabrina? Oh, Sabrina, did you hear? How do you vote, Sabrina? I'll come back to Sabrina. Zeb, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. And Leticia?
Yes.
All right. Sabrina, are you there? Okay. Well, that carries with 5. I don't know if she'll be back. So the motion carries, motion to fund Stab and Wagon, Jackson County. Back to you, Alfonso.
All right. The next group that we have have all applied together. And there are a little over a dozen of these organizations that are applying together under this Jackson County burn. The first organization that you'll be considering within that is Addiction Recovery Center. If you have a conflict of interest with Addiction Recovery Center, please declare it now.
Yeah, this is Leticia. I have a conflict of interest with Addictions Recovery Center. I will go ahead and mute myself and turn off my video.
All right, thank you, Leticia. Anyone else have a conflict of interest with Addiction Recovery Center? Okay, Addiction Recovery Center is applying to provide SUD treatment, peer support, housing, and supported employment. Actually, let me double check that. No, they are only applying for SUD treatment and peer support in Jackson County. You can find the rubrics in the Jackson County workbook under the ARC 1 and ARC 2 tabs. The recommendation from each reviewer was yes to fund. And I'll now turn it over to the subcommittee for discussion or vote. Go ahead, Sabrina.
Yeah, I would like to just go ahead and put a motion on the table for the ARC of Jackson County for funding besides the harm reduction and hold on one second. I'm sorry. Oops. Besides the harm reduction in housing, because they're not requesting funding for that.
Yes, they're only requesting funding for SUD treatment and peer support.
Okay, so I'm gonna remove that motion and put another one on the table. I would like to fund the ARC of Jackson County for SUD and peer support.
Is there a second?
I second that.
Any further discussion? Okay, we can turn it over for a vote.
Okay, motion on the table to fund JCRN Addiction Recovery Center, Jackson County. Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole?
Yes.
Okay. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. And Zeb?
Yes.
All right, that passes with 5 to fund SUD and peer support services for JCRN Addiction Recovery Center, Jackson County. Back to you, Alfonso.
All right, I am going to pass it over to Jessica. Thank you all very much for your time and your dedication.
Thank you very much, Alfonso, for supporting this group in their very important work. Hi, everyone. So good to see you today. I love it. All right, so can we let Leticia know that she can come back? I can do that. Oops. Oh, thank you, Sydney. All right, we'll bring Leticia back so that we can call out the next organization. Hope everybody's doing well today. Leticia, do we have you back?
Jessica, she also said earlier that she's been kind of in and out, so she may have just stepped away.
Okay, if we see Leticia, if I don't see Leticia come back in and somebody else does, but just remind me that we need to just do the conflict of interest one more time. But hopefully I'll catch it. All right, so the next organization that you all will be considering is Columbia Care Services. If you have a conflict of interest that you'd like to declare for Columbia Care Services in Jackson County, please do so now. All right, hearing none, Columbia Care Services is applying to provide SUD treatment, peer support, housing, and supported employment in Jackson County. You can find, you have 2 reviews. Both reviews are a yes. You can find those reviews under the Columbia Care 1 and Columbia Care 2 tabs in your workbook, in your Jackson County workbook. And with that, I'd like to send it back to the subcommittee for a vote or discussion.
I have a question about this. I'm seeing in, I will just, in rubric 132B and 32C, and I think it's throughout, it's stating they're not certified to provide substance use disorder treatment. And I don't know if they have to be certified for us to fund them for that, or what that means, but seeing that to me, since I know so little about that, is a little confusing, and I don't know really what to do with that information.
Thanks, Blue. Would anybody on the subcommittee like to offer some perspective? Thanks, Sabrina.
Yeah, I'm in agreement as well, Blue, because now that we're going to fund them in hopes that they're going to be certified. And they actually had a really in-depth timeline of what that would look like. But now because we've changed the award time so many times, now, of course, that would totally affect what they put in there. But they had dates and times to exactly when they planned on expanding that and getting that rolled out. And I believe they were hoping to have it up and running by June. And that's just off the top of my head because I reread it so many times. But and I'm not sure if that we can fund somebody on the pretense that they're going to get certified. But yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it up to another expert.
Well, I would like to review this application. This is definitely my area. So I would like to send this application and make a motion to table this until tomorrow.
I second that.
All right, sorry, I was trying to get an answer to y'all's question, and I will get an answer to your question. So I hear that. We have a motion from Sabrina to table Columbia Cares application. I think we have a second from Zeb, or wait, is it backwards? Did Zeb make the motion? Okay, so Zeb made the motion. Thanks, I understand your sign language, Sabrina. Zeb made the motion and Sabrina seconded it to table Columbia Care for Jackson County and requesting the application. And is there any discussion? All right, I'm hearing no discussion. Walter, you're on.
All right. Motion on the table until tomorrow for Columbia Care Services, Jackson County. Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole?
I vote yes.
All right. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. And Zeb?
Yes.
All right. And Leticia? Oh, she's not back. Okay, that passed. That carries with 5. That motion to table until tomorrow for Columbia Care Services, Jackson County. Back to you, Jessica.
Thanks, Walter. And so I just want to let you know, I have sent that question to somebody way smarter than me. And so hopefully we'll get that answer back. And additionally, I just want to call out that Sydney had asked in the chat if it's okay if we wait and collect all the applications that you want and send them in all in one email so that you're not getting multiple emails. And so that's a great idea, Sydney. And it looks like you got a vigorous yes for that. So just so you all know, those will be coming in one email later. Okay. Okay, so the next organization that you all will be considering is in Jackson County is Community Works. If anyone would like to declare a conflict of interest with Community Works in Jackson County, please do so now. Hearing none. Community Works is applying to provide housing in Jackson County. You have 2 recommendations. They are both yes. You can find those recommendations under the Community Works 1 and Community Works 2 tabs in your Jackson County workbook. And with that, I'm going to throw it over to the committee for a discussion or a vote. Sabrina, you're muted. Were you talking to us?
No, I was talking to myself.
Okay, I do that too. No worries. Anybody have any thoughts on community works?
So I am sort of skimming the rubrics, but I'm not really clear that they are necessarily serving the population, the same populations as we do. I'm sure there is some overlap, but it does sound like their focus is victims of domestic violence, assault, stalking, sex trafficking. So I'm sure that there would be some folks who would qualify who may have a history of substance use. And I'm not seeing maybe where that is called out if it is in the rubrics, but that's sort of my only thought right now on that.
Yeah, I agree. We saw this one time before for a similar organization in a different county that had the same specialization in population. I don't remember how we resolved it because it is a concern.
Can I just make a statement that any funds that you all award must be used for people with history or who currently use substances. So any funds that, hi, real quick. Hi, Leticia, you're back.
I'm back.
Okay, so real quick, we just got to get this formality out of the way. We are currently looking at community works in Jackson County. Do you have would you like to declare a conflict of interest with community works?
I don't.
Okay, good. It just needed to have that on the record. Perfect.
Okay.
And I'm gonna be quiet because Sabrina, you have your hand up.
Yeah, and I'll lean on to Leticia to help clarify this as well. But from what I understand is that it is all of the above that Blue mentioned, domestic violence survivors, with the emphasis of that target population in supporting them with substance use and substance use disorder, which would make it in alignment with ballot measure 110, from what I remember. And I'll see if I can find a piece of that in the rubric, Blue.
Leticia, would you like a quick summary of the question?
Yeah.
So would somebody like to summarize the question that you all have for Leticia, who just rejoined us?
Is their population in alignment with the population of Measure 110, the intended target population?
Yes.
Well, then I don't see any other concerns as long as their funds are going to SUD services. And we know because of intersectional vulnerability and marginalization, this is a high need population. So
I just have a question for, I guess, for Jessica. When we're talking about funding staff, that means that also the staff we're funding cannot be working with people that do not have a history of substance use, like a case manager and things like that. Correct?
Right. So, and I can just speak broadly about program here. So if I have a program that is intended to, serve a specific population, I have a program manager, that program manager works in that program. And I think your question here is like, is this case manager going to be doing case management for everyone? Right. And a small subsection of those might be people with SUD. And I can tell you that if that case manager or any case manager at any organization, because I don't want to talk specifically about this one, I don't know. But in any organization, if a case manager is funded under a specific funding stream, right, they can only charge the time that they use, right, for that program under that funding stream. So say I'm a case manager at Jessica's whatever, right? And maybe we have 4 funding streams, right? My time card is going to look like I spent, a quarter of my time here, quarter of my time there. So there is ways to track that, just to give an example from the program side of it. And I don't know if I answered your question, Blue.
Yeah, Thank you. And I just, since this is a public meeting, I just want to state, like, I know this is a really important service, and I'm I just want to make sure that we are using Measure 110 funds to best serve the people that we're intending to serve. But I do recognize that their overall population is definitely super vulnerable and highly marginalized and important. So thank you.
Thanks, Blue. Any other thoughts? Or a motion? Gonna make Willie here make a motion? No, just kidding. Sabrina,
I would like to put a motion on the table to fund community works of Jackson County.
thanks, Sabrina. Do we have a second?
I second that motion.
Thanks, Leticia. So we have a motion on the table from Sabrina to fund community works in Jackson County. We have a second from Leticia. Is there any more discussion? All right, hearing none. Walter?
Okay. Motion on the table to fund community works, Jackson County. Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole? Oh, Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. Zeb?
Yes.
All right. And Leticia?
Yes.
Okay. That passes with 5 to fund community works, Jackson County. Back to you, Jesse.
Thank you, Walter. The next organization that you will be considering this afternoon is Compass House. If you have a conflict of interest with Compass House, please declare it now. Hearing none. Compass House is applying to provide supported employment in Jackson County. You can find, you have 2 reviews or recommendations. They are both yes. You can find those recommendations under the Compass House 1 and Compass House 2 tabs in your Jackson County workbook. And with that, I'll hand it back to the subcommittee. Sabrina.
Yeah, after I'm re-looking at my rubric, and I'm just going to be quite honest, I think that if I was to put a motion for funding this, I'd put partial. I put a lot of dates in, or a lot of percentages of how much there's an overlap between co-occurring and mental health and substance use, and stuff that's in alignment with ballot measure 110. So that would definitely need to be dissected out and to make sure that it is in alignment.
Thanks, Sabrina. Anyone else have any thoughts?
Are we comfortable with a motion for partial funding pursuant to what Sabrina just said? Okay, what's their name? Works?
Compass House.
Compass House, okay. I make a motion to partially fund Compass House and to tease out the substance proportion of clients receiving services that have a primary presentation of substance use disorder.
I second that motion.
Okay, so Morgan, if what I'm hearing is correct, you are making a motion to fund Compass House to provide supported employment to clients or to their participants who have a history or currently use substances.
Yes.
Okay. Is that encapsulates what you were saying?
Yeah, so I make a motion to fund Compass House, just pursuant to our 944 rules, so that.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Do we have a second to funding Compass House pursuant to Chapter 944 rules?
I second.
Leticia seconds. So Morgan made that motion. Leticia seconded it. Yeah. Do we have any other discussion? Hearing none. Walter.
Okay. Motion on the table to partially fund, and this is Compass House, Jackson County. Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole? Nope. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. Zeb?
Yes.
Okay. And Leticia?
Yes.
All right. And that passes with 5 for partial funding for Compass House, Jackson County. Back to you, Jessica.
Thank you, Walter. The next organization that you all will be considering is Family Nurturing Center in Jackson County. If you would like to declare a conflict of interest with Family Nurturing Center of Jackson County, please do so now. Hearing none, Family Nurturing Center is applying to provide SUD treatment, peer support, housing, and supported employment in Jackson County. You have 2 recommendations. They are both yes. You can find them under the FNC1 and FNC2 tabs in your Jackson County workbook. Back to you, subcommittee.
I'm sorry, I stepped away really briefly. Are we just on the next organization in the rubrics?
Yeah. So since you weren't here, I just need to ask if you have a conflict of interest with Family Nurturing Center in Jackson County that you'd like to declare.
I do not. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Do you want me to read the top sheet for you?
No, that's okay. I just wanted to make sure that I was pulling up the correct rubric.
Okay, perfect.
I'll speak a little bit on the application, and I was I definitely would agree that I said that it would be good to fund this organization. I had put a couple comments in a few of the boxes, and 30. So if you go to 34C, that I can't remember right off the top of my head how many staff they were wanting to bring on, and I can look for it in the budget, but I had put that to please train and utilize current staff to facilitate the Parents Anonymous and Triple P parenting classes, and also utilize current staff for the Parent Anonymous coordinator concerns about possibly staffing utilization. And then in 60, in the supported employment section, 62C, employment support is to provide materials and skills training useful in developing skills to maintain employment. FNC is requesting 4 employment opportunities, so 2 community healthcare workers and 2 farm internship per year. And I wrote that they're not in line with Measure 110 purpose and values. And so I recommended to not fund those positions.
Did you say, so I heard you say Parents Anonymous, and I wasn't clear if that was one of the things you were saying to not fund, but I don't know what that is.
They're peers. They'd requested funding for peers to teach these courses.
Sabrina.
Yeah, so in my rubric, when I completed my sections, I would put yes. I put yes to the top line. I agree in funding a partial of the request, and I do not agree with funding the whole amount at all. So I think that's definitely going to have to come out. There was a lot of information, a lot of overlap of programs, a lot of, even though it sounds all good in theory, I don't know how much of that is ballot measure 110 alignment and how much is not. I agree with Leticia about the supported employment. If I heard her correctly, I couldn't even make sense around some of the things. So I think it's definitely gonna have to be pared down, sorted out like a sifter probably, to kind of figure out which is in alignment with ballot measure 110 and what is not.
So what I'm hearing, and I think what I heard from Leticia and Sabrina, and please tell me if I'm wrong, that you all are interested in funding, partially funding Family Nurturing Center for their SUD services. Or, I'm sorry, I did not say that correctly, for their services that serve SUD or folks who are currently using drugs. And I see a thumbs up from Zeb. So that's what I'm hearing, but if somebody wants to make a motion or have further discussion, go right ahead. Yeah, Sabrina?
Yes, I would like to put a motion on the table to partially fund Family Nurture Center for the elements that are in alignment with ballot measure 110.
I second that motion.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor from Sabrina to fund Family Nurturing Center partially for their, oh, I just lost it. It went right out of my brain. Let me try this one more time. To partially fund Family Nurturing Center for their services that are in line with ballot measure 110. Yeah. Is that what you said, Sabrina? Oh, okay, good. I just want to make sure. Then we have a second from Leticia. Is there any discussion? So we need sorry, I have a clarifying question for purposes of this motion and our notes. So are you all funding all services, or are you excluding any of them?
I would like to retract my motion because I'm putting a motion on the table to fund Family Nurture Center, Jackson County, excluding supported employment, and only partially funding the other elements that is in alignment with ballot measure 110.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. That was a good call on Sydney's part. And do we have a second? Sorry, I muted myself.
I second that motion.
All right. So do we have we captured that motion? Okay, thank you, Sydney. So we have a motion on the floor from Sabrina to partially fund Family Nurturing Center, excluding supported employment for their services that are in line with ballot measure 110. And we have a second from Lucicia. Any discussion? Hearing none. Walter?
Okay. Motion on the table to partially fund Family Nurturing Center, Jackson County. And Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. And Zeb?
Yes.
Okay. And Leticia?
Yes.
Excellent. That vote passes to partially fund Family Nurturing Center, Jackson County. Back to you, Jessica.
Hi, everyone. So I just want to acknowledge that it's been a while since you've had a break, and just see if anybody wants like 5 minutes to go be a human and get some water, or if you just want to continue. 2 minutes, 2 and 2. Anybody old enough to remember 2 and 2? All right.
I do.
Okay. So 2 and 2, that's 4. All right. We'll be back. Sorry to cough in everybody's ear. I did not realize that was going to happen. Welcome back, all. Oh, we got Walter back. We have Sabrina. Let's see. Who else do we have back? Thumbs up. Leticia.
I just want to say I'm back, but I'm going to switch to my phone in a couple minutes because I have a training right at 1 o'clock that is in person. So I'll need to be traveling for most of the rest of this meeting, but I will still be on to make sure we've got enough people to vote.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Blue. And please be careful, okay? Your safety is our priority number one. Oh, anybody else back? So we have Leticia, we have Sabrina, we know Blue is back. Is Zeb back? Morgan?
I'm back. I have a super bad migraine and can't see out of my left eye, so I'm not being very participative. So I'll be here though.
I'm so sorry. Migraines suck. Zeb is back. All right. So we have everyone. Perfect. All right. Where did we leave off? Okay. The next organization for you all to consider is HIV Alliance in Jackson County. If you have a conflict of interest you would like to declare with HIV Alliance in Jackson County, can you please do so now? Hearing none, HIV Alliance is applying to provide peer support in Jackson County. There are two recommendations. They are both yes. You can find those recommendations in your Jackson County workbook under the HIV Alliance 1 and HIV Alliance 2 tabs. And with that, I will throw it over to the council for a vigorous discussion or vote.
I'm sorry, which one is this?
That's okay, Morgan. This is HIV Alliance.
Okay.
Go, Sabrina.
I'm just gonna go ahead and go since Jessica did not call on me.
I'm Sabrina's getting me. Okay, you're right. My bad, Sabrina.
I just wanted to note, in one of the rubrics I evaluated, I put that I was concerned about budget line number 14, and I just wanted to add clarity around that before everybody started diving in too far or wondering what I'm referencing. What I was referencing is that I believe they have a housing voucher line, which I'm still in agreement with for that funding. It's just, it wasn't really addressed of like, how would people utilize that? How many people can utilize it? Numbers like that. And so I just wanted to make sure that during the contract process, that all of that stuff was figured out.
Thanks, Sabrina. I was a reviewer also on this application, and I don't oppose funding that housing voucher, but there was not much clarification on it, as Sabrina had stated, because the housing section had not been completed for that part. And so just would like more clarification on that.
So I'm hearing that, well, I don't know, you two both have the budget. So what does it feel like? Does anybody else? Oh, go ahead, Leticia, sorry.
I was just unmuting in case you needed me to say anything, but I'd be happy to pull the budget up and reference that section. Okay, just give me one moment.
Well, I mean, you don't have to do that. I'm just wondering if there's anybody else who saw something. Or this could be a situation where we send out the budget and we table this and come back to it. It's totally up to you, or you cannot fund, or you can fund, or, you know, we have a myriad of options.
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at the myriad of options because there's not really a myriad of options. There's like 3.
Listen.
You gave me the giggles. I'm sorry.
Okay, laugh at Jessica Day. It's fine. It's fine. I'll just be here making a fool of myself.
So I have the budget pulled up, and there was a request for it's line 14, it's client housing assistance, and it's in the amount of $1,250 a month for the duration of February of 2022 through July of 2023, totaling $22,500.
Thanks for that clarification, Leticia. Any thoughts? I know it's been a long meeting. We're getting towards the end. This is always, I think, the hardest part. Does anybody have any more thoughts, or would somebody like to make a motion, or do you want to table it? You have a myriad of options. Sabrina.
Yeah, even though our options are few, LOL, I'm just joking, Jessica. I just wanted to know I would be interested in knowing what Zeb and Morgan think around funding, what they think about the lack of information around the funding element. If it wasn't for that lacking of information around that for the housing piece or the funding piece, I would be comfortable in funding them the rest of the money they ask for.
Yeah, I'm comfortable funding them. You know, this is a very low barrier, very high alignment with Measure 110 application.
Thanks,
I'm
Morgan.
with Morgan on that one too.
All right. I hear a motion in the works. Somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to fund HIV Alliance in Jackson County.
All right. Thank you, Morgan. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right. So we have a motion on the table for Morgan to fund HIV Alliance in Jackson County. We have a second from Blue. Any more discussion? All right. Hearing none. Walter?
All right, motion on the table to fund HIV Alliance, Jackson County. Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Nicole? Oh, Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. Zeb?
Yes.
All right, and Leticia?
Yes.
Okay, that passes with 5 to fund HIV Alliance, Jackson County. Back over to you, Jessica.
Thanks, Walter. All right. The next how y'all feeling? You feeling good? Feeling ready to roll? Sounds good. Next organization for y'all to consider is Jackson County Health and Human Services. If you'd like to declare a conflict of interest with Jackson County Health and Human Services, please do so now. Hearing none. Jackson County Health and Human Services is applying to provide harm reduction for Jackson County. You have 2 recommendations. They are both yes. You can find those recommendations under the Jackson HHS1 and Jackson HHS2 tabs, excuse me, in your Jackson County workbook. Throwing back to the subcommittee.
Man, I give you guys props for reviewing this county. There's like 100 applications in this file. Good job.
Yeah, I know. I just clicked that, more tabs and it went on forever. So this looks like just an application to fund their syringe exchange.
Okay. Any thoughts on that? Sabrina, calling
Yeah,
on you.
Huh?
You.
Thank you. I just wanted to state that in my rubric, I put for partially funding them. I think some of the in the budget and in the contract process, some of that can be pared down a little bit, and maybe 1 or 2 of the staffing positions can actually be combined together by the way it looked in the rubric. I mean, in the, excuse me, the application.
Thanks, Sabrina. Anyone else have any thoughts?
I mean, I'd be comfortable partially funding this because of that. Like one reviewer suggested, it's already fully in effect. So clearly it already has established funding streams. So if everyone's comfortable with that, I could make a motion. Okay, I would like what is it? Jackson County Health and Human Services.
You are correct.
Okay, I would like to make a motion to partially fund Jackson County Health and Human Services for their harm reduction services.
Thanks, Morgan. Do we have a second?
I'll second that part. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion from Morgan to partially fund Jackson County Health and Human Services for their harm reduction program. We have a second from Sabrina. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Walter?
Sorry about that. All right, motion on the table to partially fund harm reduction program services for Health and Human Services, Jackson County. So, Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Sabrina?
Yes.
Okay. Zeb?
Yes.
All right. And Leticia?
Yes.
All right. That motion passes with 5 to partially fund Health and Human Services, Jackson County. Turn it back to you, Jess.
All right. So the next organization that you all will be considering is La Clinica in Jackson County. If you would like to declare a conflict of interest with La Clinica in Jackson County, please do so now. Hearing none. La Clinica in Jackson County is applying to provide SUD treatment, peer support, harm reduction, and supported employment. You have two recommendations. One is partial / no, and one is yes. You can find those recommendations under the La Clinica 1 and La Clinica 2 tabs in your Jackson County workbook. Turn it back over to the subcommittee for any discussion or motions to vote.
Hey, so I'm driving and I can't pull up rubrics, but I thought that one of the organizations that we voted to approve for peer support had listed in their rubric that they had the peers were to be used at La Clinica as well as their clinic-based treatment programs. But I can't tell you which organization because I can't open the rubrics, but just hearing that, I had thought that we had possibly funded peers for that already.
Thanks, Blue.
And it could be that somebody was reading the subsection 2, which was maybe submitted by the entire burn, and they had put that into a rubric. But maybe it wasn't specific to that organization, but that was how I had interpreted it.
Thanks, Blue. Leticia?
I'm going to pull open the budget and just look at their request and see if they're requesting funding for peers.
Thanks, Leticia. While Leticia's doing that, does anyone else have any thoughts or discussion? Okay.
So I'm just going to jump in now. I put in my rubric that they weren't seeking funding for peer support, and I don't believe that they have the infrastructure for that. And so they would be referring out to other outside organizations. So even though they filled out that part, I don't think they're looking for, it says not seeking funding. They completed the section of the Burn app, yet no, not seeking funding.
Thank you, Sabrina.
Yeah, that was my understanding as well. And just looking at their budget, the personnel cost, it's a bilingual community resource specialist, 3 full-time employees, bilingual health outreach specialist, 1 full-time employee, bilingual SUD support specialist, 3 full-time employees, an intake coordinator, 1 full-time employee, collaborative director, 1 full-time employee, learning wellness officer, 0.25 full-time employee, EDI director, 0.25 full-time employee, Wings program director, also 0.25 employee, learning and development coach, 0.75 full-time employee, data analyst, 0.5 full-time employee, and then an application support specialist, 0.5 full-time employee. So there doesn't appear that they're requesting any peers.
Thanks, Leticia. That might prove to be very helpful for folks.
Yeah, thank you so much for digging that out. So with all that was just listed, how are we feeling about funding them? I'm feeling pretty good.
I feel good. I'd fund them for SUD services, harm reduction, and supported employment.
Okay.
Sabrina?
Yeah, I don't think that they do. I'm going to look at my rubric and pull it up, but I don't think that they provide harm reduction services on site. They actually refer out. But I could be wrong. Don't quote me. I'm going to look at it a little bit more in depth, and I'm sorry for interrupting, Zeb.
Well, let's check that real quick. And then After we do that, then I can make a motion to make sure that they provide the harm reduction.
Sabrina, I'm calling
Yeah.
on you.
Thank you for calling on me, Jessica. I remember what my concern was around the supported employment. They want to provide this training that's for everybody in the community, but it doesn't really seem like it's geared towards, in theory, they have a lot of words that can be misconstrued. I'm just going to say this, that fits into some of our philosophies and stuff. But when you really dissect it, it's a once in a while training that's open to certain people that isn't like peer support training, CADC training, harm reduction training, or supported employment where they actually put people to work. So that way they can become self-sufficient, that are on the recovery use of the spectrum of recovery on any level. And so what it sounds like is just pretty much open to the community, but what they do once they receive their training isn't really defined.
Thanks, Sabrina. Did you find your concern with the harm reduction, or was it actually supported employment?
I'm going to go back and look right now.
Okay, thank you. Sabrina, your hand's up. I feel like I want to call on you.
Okay, thank you for calling me again because I found it. They did say that they're going to have naloxone and then fentanyl strips, and then also that they said they were going to train hotel staff to use Narcan. And then they said that they have wound care supplies, but that doesn't really, it doesn't really define what wound care supplies is. Is that just gauze and Band-Aids, or is that gauze, Band-Aids, and clean, safer use supplies, or what's really in the wound care? So that was my my objection, or not my concerns.
Thanks, Sabrina. Did you want me to call on you again because your hand's up? Oh, okay. No. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else with any thoughts? Zeb.
Oh, on rubric 2 and 60D, it talks about, I mean, it says wound care supplies, including antibiotics. So there's obviously some, I'm not sure what besides the antibiotics, but it talks about neighborhood clinics to prevent overdoses, infectious disease screening, HIV and hepatitis testing, 3,000 female condoms and dental dams to distribute to their health centers. I mean, I would be comfortable funding that. I'd like to, hear what you guys have to think about that, but.
Yeah, we've already funded 2 like true harm reduction intervention organizations in this county, like, syringe exchange. So this is more just like on the Narcan and wound care kit, but it's still very important, especially considering their priority population. I would be comfortable funding them.
Thank you, Morgan. Sabrina.
Yeah, my other concern would be, since they are a medical establishment, if any of these costs can be covered by Medicaid or any other funding sources besides ballot measure 110 funding, that would be my only concern.
Thanks, Sabrina.
And I agree with the rest of what Zeb and Morgan said, but I mean, if it could be funded somewhere else.
All right, so it sounds like maybe there might be a motion, or you want to have some more discussion, or a myriad of other things. I'm just gonna keep saying it to get Sydney to laugh. Zeb, you sounded pretty much like you were solid on something.
Yeah, the wording is not coming to my head right now.
Well, if no one else is solid, Zeb, what wording is coming into your head? Just related to this.
I was taking a look at their budget request real quick.
Yeah.
Just one second here.
Yeah.
And maybe Sabrina, could you confirm that the request is for 1.6 roughly?
I can't confirm. Can you confirm, Leticia? I don't have it pulled up right in front of me.
I'm sorry, what was the question, Zeb?
Sorry. Just make sure I'm correct here. They're requesting 1,628,000. Is that roughly their request?
Yeah, so I have their, let me just scroll over. Okay, so I have their total request is 1,628,153 and 98 cents.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the only question here, so I'm fine with the SUD and the harm reduction. It's just, what are you guys' thoughts on the supported employment?
I am not open to supported employment.
So in the supported employment, I filled out one of the rubrics. They're offering 2 workshops to help staff, patients, and community members achieve their employment goals, so well-being and work-life success. And with the BHRN funding, they're proposing to expand the workshops to 25 peer support staff in the community. In the workshops, it looks like they're offered virtually as well and in person. And that was in subsection 3E. They're offering them to staff, patients in the community. So I was in favor of funding it, as long as it's in line with Measure 110 values and purpose.
Thank you, Leticia. Did that help you, Zeb?
Yes, it did.
I just want to say, so I believe for this vote, we're going to definitely need blue if we're going to make it unanimous, because I already know I have an idea what my vote is going to be. So just to throw it out there before we put the motion on the table.
We gotta go, we gotta vote. I gotta go right at 1. I have a call with the Canadians.
So Sabrina, do you want to make the motion?
No, I don't want to make the motion. I'm going to be abstaining from this one, but also it's Morgan has to go in 1 minute.
I mean, I could be like 2 minutes late before it's egregiously rude.
I'd like to make a motion to fund this application for SUD services, for harm reduction services, and for supported employment services. And
I
just have a-
second.
oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Zed. I apologize.
Yeah. So we have a motion on the table to fund La Clinica in Jackson County for SUD, harm reduction, and supported employment, correct? All right, we have a second from Leticia. Discussion? Hearing none. Walter?
Gotcha. All right. Blue, motion on the table to fund.
Yes.
Blue, how do you vote?
Yes.
All right.
And then I have to go. Okay, thanks.
All right. Morgan?
Yes.
Okay. Sabrina?
No.
Okay. Zeb?
Yes.
Leticia?
Yes.
Okay. That passes with 4. Motion to fund.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much. It's been a long meeting, I know, and you're fantastic. And I'm going to see y'all tomorrow.